Arnie saw the shadowy figure first, and shortly thereafter, Matilda said she'd seen it too. Both the janitor and lunch lady described it as a guy in a hooded robe holding a big knife. Looked like one of them Satanists, Arnie quivered. And that was enough for the principal to hit the alarm button and get the lockdown underway. I wasn't the first to see it, but I knew exactly what that figure was and what it was doing at Lake Grove Academy. It was death, and it was looking for me. This was an age-old fight, at least age-old in my terminology, because it had been going on since I was born. Actually, to be precise, it had been going on since I was in my mama's womb. The first time death came for me was when mama was 5 months pregnant. She slipped on ice, fell forward, and damn near squashed the life out of me. She was kept on bed rest for the next 4 months and had me healthier than anyone expected, despite the fact that I was 3 weeks premature and had a weakened immune system. The funny thing was that mama, by all accounts a practical woman, she swore up and down that something pushed her hard and knocked her to the ground on that icy day. I saw death looming over me, over you, and I decided I wasn't gonna let him take you. She always told me very matter-of-factly. Mama was never one to pay much heed to the paranormal. She was a good Baptist woman, a pastor's wife, even though she had been raised by a self-professed voodoo priestess. The second time death came for me, I was 2 years old. I was on the swings in the rusty old playground behind the back side of the tracks apartment complex that we called home. Gunshots rang out, and I felt a sharp, stinging pain across my forehead. I fell off the swing, fully aware of the blood pouring over me. Mama was screaming, and in that moment, I saw something hooded and dark hovering over me. I wasn't shot, just grazed, and I got out of the hospital with nothing but a bandage. Mama and Daddy said it was God and all his saints that had saved me, but the accidents kept on coming. My guardian angel worked quadruple duty every single day to keep me off of death's doorway. I fell down the stairs when I was 3. I nearly drowned when I was 4. At 4.5, I barely escaped being struck down by a drunk driver who careened up on the sidewalk at 2 in the afternoon. I got mauled by a pit bull at 5, and 2 weeks later, I almost got stabbed by a crackhead who was hallucinating real bad. And then there were the asthma attacks. Those were damn near daily. Mama and Daddy and my grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and neighbors prayed and prayed. But by the time of the knife attack, my mama knew something was seriously wrong. Without telling my daddy or his kin, she took me to see my other grandmother, her mama, Granny Gale. Now here's the thing about my mama. She was good and kind, but she was also proud. She liked to focus on the positive things in life and ignore the negative, which is why she avoided discussing Granny Gale as much as possible. I don't know exactly what transpired between them, but my mama left home at 16 and never looked back. Mama said Granny Gale was a hoodoo woman because she used her powers for bad more than good. But she also knew the ins and outs of voodoo, a healing religion. And when I kept experiencing all this misfortunes, Mama took me to see her. Granny Gale was none too keen on my daddy, a passionate preacher from a long line of clergy. But she still had enough mercy left in her soul to take pity on me. She cast some sort of protection spell, and whether that was voodoo or the blessing of the Christian Lord, I managed to not only survive, but thrive. I never got sucked into the badness that went on in my neighborhood. I attended church every Sunday and sang gospel hymns and shouted praises proudly in my best hats and matching outfits. By the time I was 17, I had survived a car crash, a house fire, and a tornado. But I was happy, content, and safe for the most part, aside from the odd, freaky injury and bouts of terrifying dreams. My life was stable with Mama and Daddy, and the church as my pillars. I fell in love with dancing and won a tap dance championship the same year I graduated high school. I earned good grades, but I knew I couldn't afford college without going into serious debt, the kind I reckoned I would never be able to climb out of. Instead, I decided to go into a trade. I'd always wanted to be a cop, but Mama's nerves wouldn't stand for it. So I instead got a job as a security guard at an elementary school. I don't have children, but I like being around them. Once I even saved a kid who was choking. It feels good to make a living protecting folks. Of course, for all my righteous ways, I also got some vices. Specifically, I like to gamble. I'm not sure where it comes from, but I reckon it's got something to do with how many times I've lucked out and avoided death and disaster. Plus, I've always been lucky on lotto cards and the occasional poker game. I never won nothing real big, a couple of grand here and there, and I suppose that can be chalked up to the blessings of Granny Gale, who was rumored to have run underground gambling dens for decades. Ironically, it was the gambling, my sole vice, that led to this whole mess. I saved my pennies and spent spring break in Las Vegas, where I had me a proper winning streak. The first night, I hit $5,000 on the one-eyed jacks. On the second night, I nabbed $6,000 spinning the roulette wheel. I figured the casino was gonna get suspicious, so on the third night, I decided to go ahead and find a new location. I walked down the strip, trusting my instincts to lead me to the right casino, and my impulses led me right to the Blue Banshee. It was a little hole-in-the-wall joint in the darkest back street of the strip, about as far removed from the glitz and glamour of the Luxor and the Bellagio as you could get. I don't even know exactly how I found it, but it was like I was led there on instinct, by fate. It was dark and smoky, and I should have had my guard up, or better yet, hightailed it out of there. But instead, I walked right over to the poker table and sat down amid a questionable looking crowd of long haired bikers and bald ex cons. Far off the corner was a figure in a black hoodie. I couldn't see its face. Hell, for all I know, it was a her. But it seemed somehow familiar to me. Not comfortable, but familiar nonetheless. Time ticked by as I played and won, one hand after another. Finally, it was down to just me and the hooded figure. We battled it out in silence, except for the clatter of chips and the shuffling of cards. I finally prevailed through pairs of black eights and aces, the legendary dead man's hand. The hooded figure jumped up then and glared at me, even though I couldn't see anything but a deep black hole of nothingness in the hollow where there should have been a face. And that's when a streak of pure fear shot through me, 'cause in that moment, I knew why I recognized the hooded dude. It was the same figure I saw out of the corner of my eye every time I had an accident or barely escaped injury. It was death. And I just cheated it out of a whole lot of money. I jumped up and collected my winnings as quickly as I could, fully expecting that hooded thing to chase me down. But it just stood there, an empty socket, staring fixedly in my direction. I walked out of that shabby little casino so fast that I was nearly running. By the time I was 2 blocks away, I thought I'd gone crazy and imagined the whole thing, figuring it was just some down and out weirdo in a too big shirt. But then I saw it out of the corner of my eye. It was following me, but I didn't see no gate. It was as if it was gliding towards me instead of walking, hovering off the ground like a ghost. And that's not all. As I walked, people started bumping into me. A rusty old sign from a liquor store fell and nearly hit me on one street, and on the next, several street light bulbs suddenly burst and rained glass and embers down on me. And the whole time, that thing stayed behind me in hot pursuit, instigating accidents. My mama taught me every prayer in the book, but she didn't know that I had also taught myself a bunch of voodoo protection spells. And I started reciting both them and the Lord's Prayer over and over again, willing that thing away. I ain't never been so frightened, but through one prayer or another, I lost it. The crowds dispersed, the streetlights stopped flickering, and I got back to my hotel. I didn't waste no time packing up and renting a car and getting out of Dodge as fast as I could. I drove hundreds of miles that night, fully anticipating to be killed in a wreck, and I was too scared to look in the rearview mirror in case I saw that dark hooded thing hitching a ride along with me. I looked straight ahead and kept reciting the combined prayers for hours on end until I got home safe and sound, myself and my winnings secure. I got my house blessed and then adorned each room with gris and made every attempt to lay as low as possible. And it worked. Nothing happened. That was 7 months ago. I'd gotten comfortable. And then today, this. I know what this is. I've been found. I always knew death would catch up to me. I cheated it once too often. Whether or not the Grim Reaper in the school is the same one that's been after me since childhood, I can't really say. Heck, for all I know, there's a whole species of these damn things running around all over the world. But the one roaming the halls is certainly the same one I met in Vegas. Of that I have no doubt. Beating death with a dead man's hand in the recesses of Sin City was just the final insult, the last straw. Apparently, even death's got its limits. And so do I. I ain't going out without a fight. Over the years, I've become fascinated by death, or Grim Reapers, or Dark Angels, or whatever you want to call them. How they're depicted in art with the long flowing robes is accurate, which makes me think I'm far from the only person they ever took a shine to and pursued without capture for years on end. It's like death was as fascinated by me as I was by it, although I can't imagine why. I ain't got no artistic skills. I can't showcase it in paintings, or sculpt its image out of clay, or pay homage to it in lyrical ballads. But I can face it. The school's empty now, except for me, which is befitting given my duties. Alarms are going off, and I can hear sirens in the distance. We don't have much time. I stop square in the middle of the hallway and call out to my longtime companion, both a nemesis and muse. I'm here, Hellion. You come face me and I'll face you. And just like that, it stands before me. No bright lights or smoke or big black wings flapping. One moment I'm alone and the next, it's here. That's all. No fuss, no bother, and no face. Just that empty black hole of nothingness. Its scythe is sharpened to a point, though. No wonder the school officials were expecting a bloodbath. Without warning, death throws its blade to the side and reaches towards me. Okay, it's finally taken me. I should be scared, but I'm not. I've lived a good life, aside from the gambling. Surely I'll get to heaven and see Jesus and Mama and Daddy. It won't be so bad. Death's bony hands grasp mine. They are cold. It twirls me to the left, and then to the right. I open my eyes expecting to be swarming towards the next life. But all I see is the faded yellow bricks of the school hallway. Death twirls me again, then dips me. The damn thing is dancing with me. Is this what you wanted? A dance? I can't help but laugh. It's not wise to laugh in the face of death. But this particular Grim Reaper anyway, doesn't seem to mind. It doesn't even seem too interested in getting his money back. Instead, it tangos. Perhaps it's confused or insane, or maybe the afterlife really is just one big party, and they're all like this under the grim veneer. I've taken dance classes most of my life, first as a hobby, and then as an exercise regime. I know damn near every dance under the sun. Perhaps that was part of its unwavering fascination with me. Regardless of the reason, I'll give it this dance and offer it more. If it appears in my house again, I'll even put on some records. Why not? Blue Oyster Cult's Don't Fear the Reaper is one tune that immediately comes to mind. I can beat death at cards, dance with it, court it, heck, even tempt it. But I ain't gonna escape it forever. It knows that as well as I do. But it seems like I can temporarily elude it and hold on to my precious life force for as long as possible. Maybe a few days, maybe a few decades. We'll see. I can't defeat death, but I might be able to join it in my own good time when I'm ready. Let it dance to my tune, and not the other way around. Live a little. Until then, I'll get on its good side. Hello, listeners. Thank you for listening to tonight's creepypasta, Reaper, by Meagan J. Meehan. Be sure to show this awesome author some support and visit her YouTube channel. A link will be included in the description. If you enjoyed my narration and would like to send me your original story to be featured in a future episode, please send it over to my email. Do not forget to subscribe and click the notification bell to keep up with future content. Also, since I have not done a recording since before the holidays, I truly hope all of you enjoyed this holiday season with your families and were able to be safe and together in bringing in the new year. Here's to all of us living the horror together in 2021. So, as always, I am your host, Marie Lives the Horror.